When you talk about hardcore dancehall out of Jamaica, one name that always commands respect is Bounty Killer. Born Rodney Basil Price in Kingston, he rose from the tough streets of Seaview Gardens to become the warlord of dancehall. With his gritty lyrics, commanding voice, and fearless clashes on stage, he carved out a reputation as one of the fiercest and most influential figures the genre has ever seen. Tracks like Copper Shot, Down in the Ghetto, and Poor People Fed Up turned him into the voice of the streets, while collaborations with global stars like No Doubt on Hey Baby took him international. Now at 53, Bounty Killer has finally opened up and revealed the 5 artists he hated the most. And trust me, some of these names will leave you stunned. From rivalries that rocked the Jamaican music scene to bitter fallouts with artists he once worked alongside, this list is packed with betrayal and unforgettable feuds. Stay tuned and watch till the end, because number 2 is one fans never saw coming. Number 1. Beenie Man. When we talk about Bounty Killer and his list of rivals, there's no way we can skip Beenie Man. Their story goes way back, and it's one of the most famous rivalries in dancehall history. Nicknamed the King of Dancehall, Beenie Man has been one of the genre's biggest stars for decades. His rise to fame began early. He was already performing as a child in the late 1,970 seconds, and by the time the 1,990 seconds rolled around, his career exploded. His big breakthrough came after a performance at Reggae Sunsplash in 1992, which put him firmly on the map as one of dancehall's brightest new voices. From there, Beenie Man became unstoppable. With his charismatic stage presence, witty lyrics, and unmatched energy, he delivered hit after hit. Some of his most iconic songs include Girls Dim Sugar, Who Am I, Sim Simma, and King of the Dancehall. In 2001, Beenie Man's global impact was recognized when he won the Grammy Award for Best Reggae Album for Art and Life. His music has blended hardcore dancehall with crossover sounds, helping to take the genre to audiences far beyond Jamaica. Known for his versatility, charisma, and ability to stay relevant through the decades, Beenie Man isn't just a dancehall artist, he's a cultural icon. For Bounty, the bad blood started in the early 1,990 seconds. Back then, Beenie Man was rising fast, and Bounty accused him of stealing his style, his catchphrases, and even parts of his stage presence. To Bounty, this wasn't just competition, it felt like disrespect. Imagine building a lane for yourself, only to see another artist trying to copy and profit from it. That was strike number 1. Things didn't cool down. Instead, the rivalry exploded on some of the biggest stages in Jamaica. At events like Sting, the two clashed directly, throwing lyrical bombs at each other in front of massive crowds. Fans loved it, but behind the entertainment, there was real tension. Bounty always saw Beenie as a rival who wanted to one-up him, and the constant back and forth only made the grudge deeper. That was strike number 2. Then came one of the ugliest moments between them, the 2002 Follow Die Arrow show in Street Mary. Bounty was the main act that night. Out of nowhere, Beenie, who wasn't even booked, ended up on stage. At first, it was just a lyrical exchange, nothing new for the two of them. But the situation quickly turned sour. Beenie had a cordless mic, while Bounty was stuck with a wired one, which limited his movement. When Beenie tried to take over the spotlight, tension snapped. Bounty lashed out and actually punched Beenie in the side. Beenie, to his credit, kept calm, simply asking, "Awe ya do killa?" Nah, do that. That moment showed just how deep the rivalry had gotten. For Bounty, it wasn't just music anymore, it was personal. He later admitted that if his entourage had been there, things could have turned into a real fight. Luckily, it stopped before it got worse. But by then, the bad blood was undeniable. That was strike number 3. Over time, the feud cooled off. The two even performed together, and their iconic versus battle during the pandemic reminded fans why they were called the King and Warlord of dancehall. Still, from Bounty's perspective, Beenie Man was one of the artists he hated most, not only because of the style copying, but also because of the clashes and the moments where things almost got out of control. Number 2. Mr. Vegas. Another name on Bounty Killer's hate list is none other than Mr. Vegas. Born Clifford Smith in Kingston, Mr. Vegas made waves in the late 1,990 seconds with songs like Nike Air, You Sure, and Jack It Up. His smooth sing-jay style made him a fan favorite, but for Bounty Killer, Vegas wasn't someone he could ever see eye to eye with. The beef between the two started brewing in the late 90 seconds, right when both men were rising in the dancehall scene. From the beginning, Bounty felt that Vegas never showed him proper respect. While Bounty was building his name as the Warlord with gritty lyrics and hardcore deliveries, Vegas leaned into a more playful party vibe. The clash of styles wasn't just about music, it turned into personal tension. That was the first crack in their relationship. Things got even messier years later with the rise of social media. Mr. Vegas started using his platforms, including his podcast, to throw shade at Bounty Killer. He questioned Bounty's relevance, mocked some of his opinions, and even went as far as calling him out directly. For a man like Bounty, who prides himself on respect and legacy, that was pure disrespect, and he wasn't going to stay quiet. Bounty clapped back with shady Instagram posts, sometimes using humor, sometimes straight up dismissing Vegas as a lightweight in dancehall. This constant back and forth kept their bad blood alive. But the biggest blow-up came in 2023. What started as verbal jabs turned into a full-on lyrical war. Bounty dropped a diss track titled "Watch You Mouth," directly targeting Vegas and warning him to stop running his mouth. Vegas didn't back down, he fired back with his own responses, fueling the feud even more. Suddenly, it wasn't just internet drama. It was two seasoned artists trading lyrical gunfire, each trying to prove they were still sharp and relevant. And even in 2025, the tension hasn't fully cooled. In interviews, Vegas has gone on record calling Bounty a rival, even challenging him openly. For Bounty, this feud represents more than just words. It's about an artist he sees as disrespectful, someone who never gave him his due, and someone who pushed things too far with public insults. From Bounty Killer's side, the hate towards Mr. Vegas comes down to three things: the early lack of respect in the 90 seconds, the constant online shade over the years, and the no-holds-barred lyrical war in 2023. Add it all up, and it's clear why Mr. Vegas makes the list of artists Bounty Killer couldn't stand. Number 3. Alkaline. Now, if you thought the war of words with Mr. Vegas was heated, wait until you hear about Bounty Killer's beef with Alkaline. This one cut even deeper, because for Bounty, it wasn't just about music, it was about respect. Erlen Bartley, better known as Alkaline, burst onto the dancehall scene as a teenager. With his edgy image, bold lyrics, and songs like On Fleek and Ride On Me, he quickly became one of the most talked about young artists of his generation. Fans loved his rebellious style, but for veterans like Bounty Killer, that same attitude came across as arrogance. The tension really took off when Alkaline allegedly sent Bounty Killer a direct message that was filled with disrespect. Instead of keeping it private, Bounty decided to share the screenshot publicly, letting fans see exactly what had been said. That move made it clear whatever respect might have been there before was gone. From that moment, the relationship between the two was on shaky ground. But things got worse. Long before the DM, there had already been whispers that Alkaline had crossed the ultimate line in Jamaican culture, disrespecting someone's mother. Reports claim that he had mentioned Bounty's mother in a derogatory way. And if you know dancehall, you know that's one of the worst insults you can throw. For Bounty Killer, who takes loyalty and family very seriously, that was unforgivable. It wasn't just youthful arrogance, it was a personal attack. And finally, there's the bigger issue that Bounty often brings up with younger artists like Alkaline: a lack of respect for the foundation. In interviews and social media posts, Bounty admitted that Alkaline had talent and potential, but he criticized his attitude. He described him as stupid, ungrateful, and antisocial, saying that while the youth were pushing dancehall forward, they were forgetting to honor the pioneers who built the genre in the first place. For Bounty, that kind of ungratefulness was just another reason to put Alkaline on his bad list. So when you add it all together, the disrespectful DM, the insult about his mother, and the ongoing lack of respect for foundation artists, it's no surprise that Alkaline became one of the artists Bounty Killer openly hated. For Bounty, this feud wasn't about competition on the charts. It was about standing up for respect, both personal and musical. Number 4. Shabba Ranks. Rexton Ralston Fernando Gordon, better known as Shabba Ranks, was born on the 17th of January, 1966. He is one of the true giants of dancehall music, rising to fame in the late 1,980 seconds and dominating the early 1,990 seconds. Shabba wasn't just big in Jamaica, he became one of the first dancehall artists to break into the international market. Back home, his raw dancehall style made him a household name, but it was his 1,990 album Just Reality that pushed him into the North American spotlight. From there, Shabba's fame only grew. He is most famously known for his global hits Mr. Loverman and Ting-a-Ling, songs that defined his career and cemented him as one of dancehall's first true international superstars. These tracks weren't just popular in Jamaica, they were celebrated all around the world, making Shabba a symbol of dancehall's global reach. Now, after the fiery clash with Alkaline, you might think Bounty Killer would reserve his energy for the younger generation. But even the legends aren't off limits, and that's where things get interesting with Shabba Ranks. Shabba, of course, is one of the most iconic figures in dancehall history. Known for global hits like Ting-a-Ling and Mr. Loverman, he was one of the first to bring Jamaican music to mainstream audiences worldwide. For Bounty Killer himself, Shaba wasn't just another artist, he was an idol, a blueprint for how far dancehall could reach, which is exactly why their fallout caught fans off guard. The spark came in 2023 during a radio interview. Shaba was asked to highlight some of the biggest names in dancehall, and while he mentioned several artists, fans quickly noticed one glaring omission: Bounty Killer. Whether it was a slip of memory or something more intentional, the damage was done. For Bounty, that felt like a deliberate snub, as if Shaba was pretending he never existed in the grand story of dancehall. Bounty didn't stay silent. His response was sharp, calling Shaba a runaway, a jab that many took to mean Shaba had distanced himself from Jamaica and from the culture that built him. Coming from the Warlord, that word carried weight. It wasn't just about being left off a list, it was about loyalty. And in Bounty's eyes, Shaba had failed that test. And then there was the media factor. Bounty expressed frustration that the whole situation was being blown up by journalists and radio hosts, who he felt were stirring the pot and making it worse. But even while pointing the finger at the media, his words made it clear that he wasn't happy with Shaba. The omission hurt, and the perceived disrespect was too much to brush off. Now, to be fair, Bounty also admitted that Shaba was one of his inspirations, and that he didn't want to get into a messy back and forth with him, but the fact that he had to defend himself and fire shots in the first place shows there was definitely bad blood brewing. For someone Bounty once looked up to, Shaba had managed to land himself on the Warlord's hate list, and that speaks volumes about how personal these grudges can get. Number 5. Iara. And after all the drama with Shaba ranks, you'd think Bounty Killer would only have issues with the big names. But that's not the case sometimes. The worst bad blood comes from right inside your own camp. That's exactly what happened with Iara. Born Eric Summers, Iara was once seen as one of the rising stars in Bounty Killer's alliance crew. He had the talent, the energy, and the backing of one of the most respected mentors in dancehall. For a while, it seemed like everything was lined up for him to rise. But then, things fell apart. The first crack came when Iara decided to leave the alliance to pursue his own career. On the surface, it looked like a simple move, an artist wanting to step out and shine on his own. But for Bounty Killer, it was deeper than that. Loyalty has always been at the center of the Warlord's philosophy, and when Iara walked away, Bounty saw it as betrayal. To him, leaving the alliance wasn't just a career decision, it was disrespect. The second problem was gratitude, or in Bounty's eyes, the lack of it. In 2019, Bounty openly blasted Iara, accusing him of being ungrateful. He felt Iara had already benefited from the exposure, guidance, and spotlight the alliance gave him, yet instead of acknowledging that, he acted as if he had been held back. To Bounty, this was a slap in the face. And then there was the issue of priorities. Bounty accused Iara of not taking the big stages seriously, especially events like Reggae Sumfest. While Bounty wanted his protégés to represent the alliance on the biggest platforms, he felt Iara was chasing smaller, short-term opportunities instead. That, to him, showed a lack of respect for both the culture and the camp that had raised him up. So when you put it all together, the disloyalty of leaving, the accusations of ungratefulness, and the failure to show up where it really mattered, it's not surprising that Bounty Killer put Iara on his list of artists he hated. What makes this feud sting even more is that it wasn't with an outsider, but with someone who had once been inside the Alliance family. And that wraps up the 7 artists Bounty Killer had the biggest clashes with. What do you think? Do you agree with the list, or would you add someone else? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more reggae and dancehall deep dives. Don't forget to like and share this video so more reggae fans can be part of the conversation.